Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we find ourselves on another little mountain creek fishing adventure. If you look behind me, I've got my Crescent Shoaly loaded up, and we are here in the mountains on the banks of this little river that I've actually never fished before. And I think it's kind of crazy because I fished near this area a ton, but never have taken the time to fish this exact body of water. So I'm situated here above this little low water bridge, and we are going to paddle upstream because downstream it looks very, very, very low. But this way it looks like it's got some water, and we're gonna see if we can find some fall fish lurking about in this creek here, situated in the middle of the Ouachita National Forest. I'm seeing a few fish swimming around already right here, some little guys. I saw a couple of big guys take off upstream, so that's the direction we're going to head also. I've got a limited amount of gear here in my kayak. I've got 3 rods, I've got a box of like some creek fishing gear, and I'm really hoping we get into something. You know, we're kind of out here in the remote wilderness. There's not a lot of sign of people traffic, which is what I like to see when I'm fishing these remote mountain rivers and creeks, because that means that these fish don't get messed with as much and they can be easier, and you might can find some bigger ones. So fingers crossed for all that. We're gonna start paddling upstream. We don't have a ton of time to fish today, but we got plenty of time to figure out what this place is all about, and that's what I'm excited about. Also, I'm excited about the weather. Beautiful fall conditions. The leaves on the trees are changing colors. It's like 63 degrees right now, and it just feels right to be outside and enjoying the outdoors. So hopefully y'all are doing a little bit of that back where y'all are at. We're gonna try to make something happen. If y'all are excited for today's adventure, do me a favor, hit thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel for more, and let's see if we put some big fish in the boat. Let's go. All right, we are in the river, and as per usual, I have managed to forget something. Today on the list of things that I've forgotten is a kayak paddle, but luckily, by some stroke of luck, I had a regular canoe paddle in the truck, so we're good. We're gonna be able to go up this river, and honestly, we could probably just wade fish this boy. Probably didn't need the kayak, but I think we'll be able to cover a little bit more water. And I think there are some big pools up this way. Oh my gosh, look at all those fish. I better stop paddling and start fishing. If you look in the water, you can see we have all of these intricate rock formations. Doesn't look actually that easy and pleasing for wade fishing. We could probably walk on the bank a little bit because it is so low. Let's go ahead. Let's rig up something. Let's rig up something. I've got a swim bait on, but I don't think that that's the move. I think something sneaky and working on the bottom is going to be the move. So we're going ahead and set that whale right there, and we're going to bust out the MVP of a lot of our trips recently, and that is just a little Ned rig. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just a Ned rig. Now this is the closest pool to the bridge, so it probably does get fished a little bit. But I think beyond this pool, I think we're gonna find some fish. Oh my gosh, this pool is deep. It is also very, very clear. Deep and clear. Oh, there's some fish with red tails, some red horses. I got a fish. Fish on, baby. We're hooked up. There's fish in here. What we got? What we got? A spotted dog on the Ned. So I actually just swapped up and put a weedless head on there because I got snagged a couple times with the exposed one. Same color lure. He is chilly. Look at that. What a pretty fish. What a way to kick off the little exploratory mission out here in the Ouachita Mountains. We got ourselves a beautiful spotted bass. Send it back. The river that this river flows into has some really nice sized spots in largemouth. So I would assume this one does too. I don't think we're gonna get far enough upstream or west where we can get into some smallmouth. But in certain stretches of this river, you can find some smallmouth. Here comes one, here comes one. Oh my gosh, he had it. He chased it up. There. Here comes one. Got him. Oh my gosh, they're on fire. He chased it out as soon as it hit the water. Oh, if they're gonna do that, we're gonna have ourselves a day. I already know. Look at that, another nice spotted bass. What a pretty fish. I love these guys. We get in the right hole, we can find some big ones. I got the scale. We're looking for anything over 2 pounds would be great. Pound and a half is fine too, but if we can get some 2-pounders in the mix, that would be. Well, there went my bait. I just casted it off, and I don't know where it went. Oh man. Well, we're gonna have to tie a new leader knot or something. I'm not sure what happened just then, but luckily it happened after we caught the fish. What the heck? Yep. My knot literally just broke at the front of my leader. Like, my leader knot's there and the line is sticking out of it. Oh well, we'll re-rig. I'm not sure if y'all asked for this or not, but I'm gonna show you how I tie a quick and dirty braid to leader connector knot. So what I do is I double up my my leader material. This is my fluorocarbon. It's 8-pound fluorocarbon. I take my braid and I run it through the loop, and then I do 6 wraps down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and that kind of straightened it back out. You can see we got those wraps running down the line that's doubled up. And then I'm just going to do 6 wraps back up the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm just going to run my line back through that loop. I got 2 braid tag ends on this side, 2 fluorocarbon ends on this side. I'm going to wet it. We're just going to pull it together. And that is a pretty good braid to leader connector knot. A lot of professionals use this knot. I use it probably 50% of the time. The other half of the time I use an FG knot. Just kind of depends on what kind of time I have and what I'm feeling. Right now I'm in a hurry. This is the one I could tie the fastest, and it works pretty well. My line broke just now because, I don't know, there must have been a nick in my leader near my knot, but the knot itself did not come loose. And then as far as the length of leader, normally I like to just reel it to where the leader line connector knot is just right above the spool of the reels. I don't really want it going into the reel, so that's about right there, and that gives me about 10 to 12 feet of leader material, so I can break off and retie, or I can have just a long leader if I get some deep water. It's a spooky fish. I don't think these fish are too spooky, but that is the abridged version of how I tie a leader knot. We are dragging. It is so shallow. I'm just gonna send one up there. I don't even care. I don't want to spook them. Here he comes. Get it. He got it. That's a good one. It's insane. These fish are, oh, it's a really good one. Oh my gosh, these fish are insane. It is so shallow, and I'm just swimming it around, and they are chasing it out of nowhere. Is that a largie? It's a largie. Look at that one. That is sick. Oh, look at this largemouth, fellas. Smoked him. Guys, that largemouth wanted it so bad. Best fish of the day so far. I feel like I haven't even really started fishing yet, and I've already caught 3. Send him back. Look how clear this water is. Isn't it pretty? And I love that they're not really spooky. It seemed like they're spooky. When I first pulled up to the bridge, there were some fish that took off. But you're going to have that naturally. When a big scary man comes up and starts looking at you over the top of the bridge. But now that we're on their level and in the water, they're not really acting spooked. Is there another one up there? Okay, after a hot start, things have really cooled down. It's so shallow going up this way. I should have went downstream. But I've hit a couple different shoals, like the one I'm walking through right now. So I'm just gonna walk up here a little bit, kind of assess the situation and see if maybe we need to pull the plug on this spot and go to another one, readjust our bearings. But I'm not ready to give up on this spot just yet. I've had it on my list for a while, and I think that we may have just come here when it's a little too low. I'm not really even seeing any fish anymore in these pools, but I'm gonna get up here to this one right here and see what we can see. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. There's a fish. There's a fish. Has he got any followers? No, it's just him. It's a good one. It's a good one. Another big spot. Showing up is, oh, there's my worm. Man, he choked it. That's what we like to call a fat spot. He's not super big, but super chunky, super healthy. And this next pool looks incredible, but there's just no way I'm dragging my kayak up here. So it might be the last boy fish in this stretch, but we're definitely gonna fish it for a minute. But a good fish. This is our fourth fish of the day, maybe third or fourth fish. And there he goes. Swapped it up to just a weightless, wacky little Cinco. Probably the best bait for this situation, with it being so shallow. Something weightless, it's kind of gonna hover above the fish for a minute. If we get to a deep hole, we can still sink it down. It was awesome. I bet the only one in this little hole. Is there any more up there? Well, here we go. I just shut my camera off, take a few steps forward, and we got a new species on the day. The familiar green sunfish. We will take it. We'll send it back. Fish on. Fish on. It's a good one. I'm just trying to get my footing and get around. Oh, he came off. No. Dang, it's another good fish. I was trying to get my footing and get situated. A lot of times I'll make the cast first before I do that. Got you. Got you. They're loaded in this hole, it looks like. The one that we lost was bigger. Like 3 times bigger. Still a nice little spotted bass. Can't complain. You know there's a giant in here somewhere. It looks like it's pretty deep. Look at that shoal up there. That's an amazing looking waterfall. Got him. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, it's a nice one. It's the biggest of the day, I think. Biggest of the day, I think. It's been a minute. We've been grinding it out here in this pool. Maybe not the biggest, but a solid one. We haven't had hardly any luck in this pool, which is so surprising. We got ourselves another little mountain dog right there. Beautiful spot. I just missed one a moment ago that felt like a really nice one, like probably a 2+ pounder. So I'm really trying to soak this area. For all that it's worth to me, maybe can get another chance at him. The bottom topography right here is insane. We have all these little ridges and high spots. And those rocks are just so dumb to walk on. They're so slippery. They're just not good walking rocks. And on the other side of the rocks back there is like a channel that runs through. And I've been fishing that deep channel this whole time, and that's the first one I've actually landed. I've had 4 or 5 bites, but they've all been able to escape. Oh, he was on there. Oh, he bit it and spit it. Dang it, come back for it. Got him, got him. He bit it 3 times. Another juicy one. That's awesome, they're aggressive. When you get in front of one that's, you know, excited to eat, he'll bite it 2 or 3 times. No, nice little spotted bass. There should be some monsters in this hole. Do they just not want my Ned worm? Do they want a glide bait? I should have brought some glide baits, dang it. Put it back in there. I'm hoping catching a couple now will get these other ones fired up. Got him. Oh, a nice one. Another nice one. Smashed it. I knew this pool was going to have some fish. I just had to walk across the whole entire thing to get to them. Is that smallmouth? No, what is that? Meanmouth? What is that? It's a crazy looking fish. What the heck is that? I guess it's a spotted bass. I really don't know what that is. That looks different. That doesn't look at all like the spotted bass we've been catching. I bet it's a meanmouth. Some sort of hybrid. Could just be a straight spot, but that looks mean-mouthy to me. Look at him. Interesting. Send him back. That fish looked weird. Got some weird stuff going on up here. Is it a new species? Wouldn't doubt it. New species popping up everywhere. We just made a video where we were fishing, catching the newly identified, newly described Neosho bass up in the Ozarks. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some undocumented species of bass living out here in these remote mountains. Got him. It was a fish. Is it a green sunfish? I think it's a green sunfish. Oh, falling in. It is a green sunny on the Ned. Green sunfish for the win. I cast it underneath this falls right here. I was hoping there'd be a 2-pound monster sitting there. Or a 1-pound green sunfish. Alright guys, we are back here at the house. You know, I went and checked a few more places after that initial spot and didn't get on anything else the rest of the day, so we had to pack it on in. But that was a pretty informative fishing trip. You know, that was some water that I had never fished before. Saw some really good looking stuff. Even though it was super low, I could imagine what that place looks like when you get some rain over some of those falls. I bet that it is something fierce. And there was a lot of fish swimming around in the water. They were a little bit finicky of me. I think it's because the water was low and it was so clear. But we were able to catch some pretty nice fish. I mean, we mostly caught spotted bass. I think we got a couple of largemouth, but I did see some smallmouth swimming around in there, and we caught what I think is a meanmouth, which is a hybrid between a smallmouth and a spotted bass. So, I mean, overall, happy with the trip. Wish I could have caught some more, maybe caught some bigger ones. But before we end today's episode, I want to kind of talk about 3 of my favorite baits to throw in the creeks, you know, through the fall and into the winter months as we have coming up right now. They're kind of the same as what they are all the time. You kind of use them a little bit differently, but I get questions all the time, you know, about what are my favorite things, what are the things I use the most. And you can already kind of tell from what I throw in the videos. It's pretty straightforward, but I pretty much go nowhere without having a little bit of this action right here. Some little Ned baits. These are a couple of my favorites, just a regular old floating TRD. And I also really like this one right here. This is the 6 cents Boosa Ned worm. This is a little bit of a newer bait, but look at this guy. Just beautiful, beautiful colors. I mean, that's probably my favorite color, plastic, just around that I've seen. It's called Smalley Snack. Caught a lot of fish on this one. And as well, I mean, I've caught a ton of fish on these too, don't get me wrong. Caught them all in this video on this bait, I think. But this is a really, really great bait, really great little Ned option. So always got a Ned rig. I'll have them usually with the weedless Ned heads, sometimes with an exposic, depending on what the cover's like. But mostly, I use a weedless one just to kind of keep myself from getting all hung up. Next up, you've seen me throw this a ton. And this pretty much always applies. You're going to have to change your cadence from time to time. And that is going to be a little finesse jerk bait. I've got smaller ones like this that are flashy, and I've also got some that are a little bit bigger. This is a 6 cents 97X. It's a provoke jerk bait. Really, really nice one. This one's like not quite 4 inches long. This is a really good color too. It's just a little matte finish jerk bait. Really like this guy, and it imitates some of the little bit larger shiners. So if I'm in a creek and I'm seeing, you know, bigger shiners, a lot of stone rollers, I'll swap to something like this. If it's a lot of smaller bait fish, I'll throw something like this, something a little bit smaller. And then of course, if it's really sunny and we got clear water, I like to throw something with some flash. This is a really good one, got some good flash. This is actually kind of a bluegill color too, because there is always a bunch of small sunfish, you know, like long-eared sunfish, little green sunfish. So a little sunfish pattern is always a good option when you're fishing those creeks, no matter what time of year. This time of year, you know, the water cools down. You can still catch them by snapping it pretty hard, but you might have to, you know, have a little bit more of an intermittent pause in between everything. And then lastly, for this time of year, since it's getting a little bit colder, I would throw topwater in there because it's honestly probably my favorite thing to throw. But since we're kind of in the cooler months going into the winter, I'm not going to be throwing a topwater as much. It just doesn't make so much sense. So that's when I will opt to throwing a little swim bait. This is a Divine swim bait. This is my go-to swim bait, always, day in and day out. If it's not this one, it's the Whale. This is a little 2.8 inch version, and I really like the small one in the wintertime because a lot of times when you're going to have those smaller bait fish, the fish can be a little more finicky. And you're going to want something that's a little more subtle and finesse. I can't even get him out the bag. Come here, buddy. Let me hold you. So this little nugget is responsible for a ton of fish catches, you know, throughout the year, but especially in the fall and into wintertime. The small bait fish that hatched out earlier in the year, They tend to be about this size, maybe a little bit bigger, but it's just a good little snack size bait. It's non-intrusive. If it goes by a fish's face, they're pretty much going to eat it every time. And this is an amazing color. It's just called the Electric Shiner. You see it's kind of got that kind of green pumpkin, silvery back, some flake, and then a little bit of pearl. My favorite swim bait color that Stix has to offer. They got it in all different sizes. If there was a color for you to grab, I would say you should grab this one because it's just really, really good. But yeah, so those are 3 of the things you're going to see locked in my hands when you see me go out and fish the creeks, the mountain rivers this time of year. And if you have creeks and mountain rivers around you and you're looking for something to throw, I would highly recommend picking up some of this stuff. I'll have links to all the 6th Sense stuff down in the description. As always, use the code CJ10 at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And they really have a bunch of finesse options. If you live in an area where maybe these things don't work as well, they've got, like I said, tons of options that can accommodate your fishing style and your fishing needs. But anyways, that's where I'm gonna wrap up today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning into it. Hopefully we'll get out and do some more exploring soon in some new water. It's getting a little bit cooler, so the bites can be a little bit different, but I know that these baits that I showed you should work throughout the rest of the winter months. So anyways, if y'all enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.